Hey guys, it is November 1st, so I am here with my October wrap-up for all the biblical fiction books that I read in October of 2020. Guys, I must have been reading like a madman going off to war or something, because other than the printed books that you guys see here, I also got in some audiobooks and some ebooks for a total of 15 books I read in October. So, without further ado, I want to go ahead and share with you the ones that I have here printed, and then I will tell you the physical names and the authors and my thoughts on the other ones that were audiobook or ebook, because I don't obviously have those with me. So, the first one was The Hidden Flame by Davis Bunn and Janet Oak. This takes place in pretty much like the book of Acts. There's no real actual characters in here except maybe some of the apostles. It's a pretty good read. Honestly, this was the very first one that I read for October. It was a decent read. I do like their series that they have for this. It's called The Acts of Faith, and this was book 2. And I haven't read the third one yet. I did read the first one a few months ago, and I believe that was The Centurion's Wife. So this one's pretty good. I do like the entire series, so it was pretty good. Okay, so the second one was Of Fire and Lions by Misu Andrews. Guys, this one has been sitting on my bookshelf and I haven't read it, and I love Misu Andrews, so I decided, well, I'm going to let my daughter let me pick me some books, because sometimes when I see all my books on my bookshelf, if you saw my bookshelf, you'd understand, but if you saw everything, then, it gets kind of overwhelming, and sometimes I can't pick, so I don't read anything. So my daughter, she went and she picked this one out for me to read, and I love it. This is the story of Daniel. And then there's also Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in here. And it tells the story of Daniel all the way up from when they were taken into captivity, all the way until I believe it was King Cyrus who made the decree that they could go back and start rebuilding Jerusalem, and it was like 68 years afterwards. So guys, this is a really great novel. Misu Andrews always puts in such wonderful storylines. I love her books. This was definitely a 5-star. You've got to read it if you've never read it before. Okay, so Rebecca by Jill Eileen Smith. Everybody knows the tale of Rebecca. She ends up marrying Isaac, and she has Jacob and Esau. So this is a great one. This is one of the Wives of the Patriarch series, so this is the second one. Yeah, this is the second one. So I've read all the others already, so I was trying to backtrack to get to this one. I really liked it. I like the thoughts on Rebecca. I like her relationship with Isaac in the book. Somewhat, sometimes they really seemed like they were strained a little bit, and I'm not really sure if I agreed with that part, but it was a really good read overall. Okay, the next one was The Scribe by Francine Rivers. My daughter also went ahead and picked this one out for me because I have had it sitting on my bookshelf for who knows how long, and I love Francine Rivers. So this one takes you on the story of Silas, and he was the scribe, basically, so thus the name. And he recorded everything that happened between like Peter and Paul and different things, and he was able to bring letters of encouragement to the different churches for everyone. I really like the little backstory that's put in here. Really, we don't know a whole lot about him other than what is said in the New Testament, but this is basically a really decent fictional story revolving around him. Okay, so the next one is Heart of a Lion by Gilbert Morris. I've never read any Gilbert Morris before, and I have to say I did not enjoy this book at all. This is supposed to be a retelling of Noah, and I do not like how they made Noah into a womanizing, obsessive sort of person. In the story, his main sin that everybody has this one main sin or main thing that blocks them from God, even today. It could be drugs, it could be, men or women, whatever, stealing, lying, stuff like that. Well, they put in that Noah's was women, and he was in a relationship with a woman who was part of like a false cult, basically, and he had slept with her apparently when he was young. He still loved her. Even when he finally married a good, decent woman, he still loved this woman. He had feelings for her. Then he started having feelings for the daughter of this woman because the woman died, and I just cannot see that as Noah. I believe that the Bible said Noah was a righteous man, and I just cannot see that this is how Noah would have been. I did not like how they portrayed Noah at all. So I don't suggest reading this book personally. Okay, the next one is Isle of Shadows by Tracy L. Higley. I've only read one other book of hers, and it was Noah's Wife, and that was part of a guidepost series from the Women of the Bible. That one was okay. I think I rated it a 3-star because I could not agree again with some of the facts about Noah and the wife. Mainly it was the wife that I really could not agree with. Okay, so Isle of Shadows. I have to say, she redeemed herself. This author has redeemed herself in my eyes. This was a 5-star to me. This was an excellent book. She portrayed emotion in this girl, in the main character. You could feel the raw emotion emanating from this poor girl about how her life has been awful and her untrust towards people and her anger. It was overall a wonderful read. Basically, it takes place in the New Testament era in Greece, and basically she has been a courtesan for 10 years, and she wants to try to get out of it. Okay, she wants to escape, and it's a wonderful read. I really suggest it. It was a great one, and I didn't see a whole lot of wonderful reviews on it for Goodreads, but I really liked it, so I gave it a 5-star. Okay, the next one is Deborahs Story by Ann Burton. This one I actually got in a swap a long time ago for biblical fiction, and it has been sitting on my shelf for almost a year. And again, this is one that my daughter picked for me. And this is a set, you guys, from, I guess it's Women of the Bible by Ann Burton. She wrote, I think, 4 of them. This was a pretty good retelling of Deborah's story. What was interesting about it was basically Deborah's backstory. So really, we don't know anything about Deborah other than she was a judge. She judged underneath a palm tree, I believe, and she went with Barak out, and they came back in victory. So we don't really know a whole lot. Oh yeah, and then she was married to a man, I think his name was like Lapodatiate or something like that. I'm not really sure how to pronounce it, but we don't know anything else about Deborah. So this author took it upon herself to make Deborah an entire backstory, and I'm talking about like maybe this much of the book is when she went out with Barak and she's a judge. This entire part of the book is basically her backstory. And what was interesting, though, she made Deborah as a slave. She had been a Hebrew slave, and then she was able to come home. Not sure if that's true. It was a pretty good read. I gave it a 4-star. Alright, I had to finish off the Mark of the Lion series. I've been reading it with my book club online, and I will leave the link to that book club below if you love biblical fiction as much as me. This one is the last one, As Sure as the Dawn, and it takes the story of Artemis, and it follows him, because, we can't leave him out. He was a great character, and you had to know what happened to him. Excellent story. All the way to the end of the book. I mean, I was like on pins and needles. I had to know what was going to happen. It was an excellent read. Francine Rivers is an excellent writer. I wish she made more biblical fiction books. Alright, and then the last physical book I had was The Legend of Sheba, Rise of a Queen by Tosca Lee. Okay, so I have read the only other one that's biblical, and it's called Hava by Tosca Lee. I know she has one called Iscariot by Judas Iscariot, about Judas Iscariot. I'm not really interested in reading about the guy that betrayed Jesus, because, Jesus even said it was, would have been better if he would have never been born, so I have no reason to read about him. But I did not like Hava, and honestly, I didn't like Sheba either. So I guess Tosca Lee is not one of my favorite authors, unfortunately. This book It was extremely detailed from a historian point of view. I just did not enjoy the story of it. If you have and you've read it, or if you like the history of Sheba or anything like that, then by all means try it, but it just wasn't for me. Okay, so while you stare at this lovely pile of books, I'm going to go ahead and tell you the other ones while I grab my little paper here. So the next ones I read, they were both by Jennifer Jennings, and they are, I believe, the Faith Finder series. I read The Wilderness Wanderer and The Crimson Cord. The Crimson Cord is obviously about Rahab, and then The Wilderness Wanderer is about Miriam in the desert with Moses. Both excellent books. I really enjoyed both of them. I love reading her series, so I highly suggest those. The next two were also by the same author, and these were audiobooks that I listened to. The first one is A Little Lower Than the Angels, and then the second one is Then the Deluge Comes, and they're both by Carol McAdoo. I got these on Audible. And as A Little Lower Than the Angels is about the story of Adam and Eve and Cain and Abel. Guys, these two blew me away. And then the Deluge Comes is basically from the time when Adam and Eve die all the way up to the flood. Like I said, these both blew me away. They made me think of how they lived and how they were and how righteous they were and how much they loved God in a whole new way. If you've never read this series, it's called The Generations, I believe, you have to read it. The next one I read was Magdalene by Angela Hunt. Guys, I did not like that book. It creeped me out on a level that I have never been creeped out on before. It felt like it was like a creepy Halloween book or something. With the demons and stuff in there. What I really didn't like, I know that Mary Magdalene had demons. Okay, that's well and fine. What I really didn't like in the book was even after Jesus had expelled the demons from her, she still had it in her heart to kill. She didn't feel that. She didn't change, basically. Even after knowing Jesus, even after following him, she didn't change in the book at all. And she ended up dying. You know, it's just, I just did not like this book at all. So I don't recommend it. And then the last one was The Days of Noah by Virginia Smith. And so far, almost every Noah book I have read has struck out with me. But this one by Virginia Smith was really a good read. It was basically told from the thoughts of Shem, and then a girl that was the daughter of the priestess from the people of Cain. It was a great read, other than a little discrepancies that I thought, like, they did not have technology like what they were talking about in the book and stuff, like higher technology, like for driving mobiles and stuff like that. I don't believe they had that kind of stuff. But the entire story was awesome. So those are the 15 books that I read or listened to for October 2020. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you want to join my book club, it is called Readers of Biblical Fiction Book Club. It's on Facebook, and I will leave the link below. So thank you guys so much.